Hello word nerds! Happy Friday! Today I'm at my makeshift desk because I'm visiting my parents right now, so I'm in my mom's sewing room. But I always end up bringing the full desktop because I have to work, even when I come to visit my parents. Adult life. But as I mentioned earlier this week on Twitter, today I'm going to be doing some vlog editing tutorials. This video is going to be uploaded in two separate parts since I'm talking about two different programs. The first video that I made was about editing through Windows Movie Maker. It's the standard basic video editing program that comes with Windows. This video is going to be about Adobe Premiere. I use Adobe Premiere Pro, and so that's what I'll be using in this video. Adobe Premiere Pro comes with the Adobe Creative Cloud package, where it's a monthly subscription and you get access to basically all of the Adobe Creative Suite. I love it. I believe you can get a free month trial if you want to try it out now. I will put a link to more information about that in the description, but I also super think it's worth the money. Adobe also has Adobe Premiere Elements, which is kind of like a half step down from Adobe Premiere Pro. It's still more advanced than Windows Movie Maker, but it just doesn't have all of the capabilities or the user friendliness of Adobe Premiere Pro. But the upside to Adobe Premiere Elements is that it's a one-time purchase, and so you never have to worry about like updating the program or any of that stuff. I'm actually going to be editing this stuff that I'm filming right this moment. It's what you'll get to see. Yay! I'm gonna be doing some screen capturing, so hopefully that goes well. Also, I'll have this video going, so it's gonna be super glamorous. I have the necessities of video editing, which is my phone to have Netflix playing in the background, my water, and Starburst jelly beans. It has to happen, you know. It just... I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm gonna start editing. And as I'm doing it, I will talk you through all of it. Okay, so I've got Adobe Premiere Pro open. If you've got the most updated version, it should open you up to this kind of start page. If it doesn't, you can just go up to File and click New Project. What I love about Adobe Premiere is that it automatically gives you a name and a location for it, so I always remember to save it. Because nothing sucks worse than doing 75% of your vlog and then realizing you've just lost it all and have to start over. So I'm gonna give it a title, Vlog 0311. And so now you can see I've got my workspace here. Yours might look slightly different, but it should have all the same basic components. A timeline spot for where your sequences are gonna be, a preview panel where you'll be able to see everything, a place to import your media in here. You'll also probably have a tab for special effects, but we're not going to be using any of those in this. And also up here you'll have some effect controls. So you'll double click in the import media section to bring in videos. At this point it'll start conforming. You'll want to wait for it to do that, because I haven't waited before and it's gone screwy and I haven't been able to see the waveform. And the waveform is pretty crucial to my process, so patience. Now you're just gonna click and drag this out to the timeline and drop it. And here you've got your first sequence, yay! You can come over here and rename it if you want. Like, this is my vlog. I like to expand this audio panel here. That way I can see the waveform. This is basically where all the sound is happening. You can zoom in by clicking on this and pulling it in. I like to do that because then I can see exactly where the sound is happening. That's important because you want to get rid of as much silence as possible. Like, unless the silence is intended to be there for some sort of effect, you don't want it to be in your vlog. So you don't want like the couple seconds before you're making noise or like the couple seconds as you're closing your mouth. I learned what this is called. I couldn't remember in the Windows Movie Maker one, but this is called the scrubber. You can drag that around and you'll be able to hear, if you're wearing headphones or in your speakers, You'll be able to hear the actual audio, which is incredibly helpful. You'll want to make sure you've got all of these things clicked, particularly the snapping tool. That'll make it so that if you're trying to shorten something, it'll automatically snap it to where your scrubber is, which is really handy and very convenient. So I'm going to start out by just pulling it in to where my scrubber is, where the sound starts. Got some blank space here now, so I'm going to right click and ripple delete, which is going to bring it all the way back to 0. It'll delete any blank space that I just put in there. The razor tool is what you're going to want to use to split things up. You can either click on it and use it like this, or what I prefer is to leave the selection tool on and then just use the shortcuts C and V. So if you tap C, it'll bring up the razor tool and you can slice up whatever you need to. And then if you tap V, it takes you back to the selection tool. I usually like to slice one spot and then drag it into the next one. Got some blank space here. You can see there's basically nothing except for background noise on the waveform. So I'm going to tap C again. Then I'm going to bring my scrubber over to where the sound starts and drag it over. Ripple delete to get rid of that blank space. And I'm just going to keep doing this over and over and over and over again. If you do something wrong, like you slice something you don't want to slice, you can always undo. You can either go up here and click Edit Undo, or you can just do Control Z. Sometimes you'll end up going really, really far down so that you can't see the last cut that you made. At that point, it's kind of impractical to want to drag it all the way to the scrubber. So I just use the razor tool again, and then I can select that clip and delete it. See this blob right here? That is an You want to try and get rid of all your ums and uhs and hmms and sitting there quietly while you think about what to say next. Alright, and so now I've gone through and added all of the basic jump cuts. So pretty. Wow, wow, wow. But what you'll want to do at this point is make sure that you go through and watch the whole thing. At this point, you want to look out for mistakes that you've made, if there are any syllables that you've accidentally chopped off. You'll also want to be looking out for things that don't absolutely need to be said. Almost all beginners end up vlogging for longer than they need to. Look out for repetitive phrases, things that a viewer might not necessarily need to see or hear to understand the video. Or maybe if you're starting or stopping in the incorrect spot, like maybe like in writing, you don't get to the action until a minute in, and you should delete all of that stuff that's happened before. So now I am just going to go through, try and find any messy sounding spots, messy looking spots, spots that don't need to be there. Alright, so I've gone through it one more time. At this point you want to be sure to hit Control S or Command S to save the project. Save often. At this point you also want to make sure that you've saved so that you can render it. Unlike Windows Movie Maker where you render right in the program, for Adobe Premiere Pro, you have to render it in the Adobe Media Encoder. It's another program, comes with the Adobe Creative Suite. So I've already got that open here. I'm gonna double click to add an item to the queue. So you'll find your project, which is why it's important that you remember the name of your project. So for mine it's Vlog 311. Right here you can choose where the output is going to be. And you can change the name as well. So I'm gonna put this just right into my WordNerds file where all of my vlogs get saved as Vlog 311. So the standard one it'll probably put you on is match source high bitrate, which is great. I do like to go down here in the video settings and have it render at maximum depth. It's going to improve the quality. It'll make it rendered for just a little bit longer, but I think the increase in quality is worth the extra couple minutes of wait time. You can also do things like using the maximum render quality if you want. I've found usually though that when I'm trying to do that in Adobe Premiere that sometimes my encoder will crash because My computer's nice, but it's not super nice. So I'm just gonna click OK. Now I've got my settings, I've got where I want the MP4 file to go. So I'm just gonna go up here and click the green play button to start the queue. And down here it's gonna start rendering. I've got my little preview. Also, while this is rendering, let's talk a little bit about some of the other things that you can do to make your vlog look higher quality without having to do too much work. The first thing that you can do that makes a pretty big difference is have decent lighting. You can probably tell in this one that this isn't the best lighting. This isn't where I normally film. This can be pretty easy. You don't have to buy any fancy box lights or anything. If you have a desk lamp, you can set it up so that it's kind of pointed right at your face, and that will be great. Or what I do, which I think is the best thing you can do, is try and film in front of a window. That natural light makes even the crappiest camera look amazing. You can also make sure that you don't have a ton of blank space up above your head, or that it's not like your whole body and your head's kind of cut off up here. Vlogging is really all about this section, your eyes, your face, being able to see your hands moving, but not like, this is my whole arms all the time. And the last thing that you can do to kind of up the professionalism without working too hard is try filming in front of a more set-like area. So most of the WordNerds film in front of their bookshelves. Yeah, there's lots of things you can do, lots of things you can have fun with. Again, none of those things are requirements for auditioning for the WordNerds, like at all. The only thing you really need to worry about is filming it and then making sure you edit it some. All right, and it is finished rendering now. So at this point, what you'll want to do is you'll want to open up the file and just watch the MP4 one time on your computer, just to make sure nothing went wrong while you were rendering it, or that there's nothing you missed. I'm always so paranoid about uploading something that has like 500 minutes of silence at the end, because I've done it once before, and it's just awkward for everyone. So double check your work. And then you should do a little dance or something, because you have just edited a vlog in a really awesome editing program, which makes you awesome. Way to go. And that is it. Again, reminder, I've put links down in the description to where you can get Windows Movie Maker if for some weird reason it isn't on your computer. And also a link to where you can get a free trial of the Adobe Creative Cloud. You're not required to put in a credit card number or anything like that. It's just free trial, yay! Feel free to ask any questions you might have in the comments, and I will be sure to check it frequently between now and the end of the WordNerds 7th member audition cycle. And if you haven't heard of that and are wondering why there's this really big long how-to editing video for Inspiration Corner, it's because we're looking for a 7th member. So maybe if you're interested in editing like I just did, you should try out